Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidva Mardhanam. Okay? Okay. Kamsa Chanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitatvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakhatvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the 11th chapter of Panchadasi and we are at the Sloka 101 now. And here up to this point, Vidyaranya establishes several important things. Number one, that Brahmananda is supreme and other Ananda is only a reflection of that Ananda. That is the happiness that one gets outside through Vishayananda by indulging in the objects where objects with the senses are involved, and that is Vishayananda, object-oriented happiness. And in the case of the mind reveling in the vasanas, in the manoranjan, that means mind reveling inside without having any even objects also, it will be enjoying the vasanas related, that means the objects, but objects that are created internally also, where the mind is still reveling on that, and that is essentially, he calls it as a Vasanananda. So even the happiness that one gets in all these things is related to some kind of fulfilling a desire at the objective level, where the ego ahankara is involved in a subtle form. So therefore it is ego based Ananda, and that gives you a vasanas again full, and which reinforces the desire to have repeating that experience if it is a pleasurable, if it is a painful, avoiding. So raga dveshas will be going on continuously. But once one realizes that there is a higher happiness and there is no real happiness outside, and the mind starts contemplating on the truth as expounded by the Vedanta, because Vedanta says once you realize that you cannot get absolute happiness in any of these pursuits, because there is no happiness outside. So after examining, that means parikshalokan karmasidan brahmanaha nirvedamayan naschakutakrutera, after examining that I cannot get what I want, that is absolute uninterrupted happiness that I am looking for by any pursuit. So that which cannot be gained by any action, once I realize by examining my life, so until then I am going after, running after this, running after that. So you can see millions of people, they run after either wealth or a power or a possessions and so on, and people are considered as successful if you have made billions of dollars or billions of this. Whether he is happy or not is a separate question. So as someone said, you need a wealth for your security, but afterwards you are worried about the security of the wealth itself. So there is never a time you are free from worries and what's going to happen, what's going to happen future, and even if everything is outside, everything is okay, then the body starts deteriorating and body problems which you cannot help. When I went first time to the States in the late 60s, there used to be Howard Hughes, a multi-billionaire, but he made money in the huge aircraft and all that people are familiar, and he made multi-billions at that time, and he had a problem where in spite of billions he was living on the 44th or 45th floor, and even to enter into his room one has to sterilize in order to enter, because he has a problem where he can catch up things. So he lived a miserable life in the end. So all that wealth did not help because the health is a problem, because he sacrificed the health to get the wealth. Now in spite of the wealth, he cannot have the health. So what is happiness? So one has to examining that you can never get happiness in this way. So for that only you have to go to a teacher. Tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva. Approach a teacher alone who can tell you how to gain that happiness. And that happiness is Brahmananda. That is the same happiness you get in the deep sleep state where there is no subject-object duality. It's a non-duality only gives you happiness. That is the experience of every being. And therefore, how can I get non-duality, or how can I experience non-duality when the mind is awake? Because mind always entertains the thoughts. So how you turn the thoughts toward the higher, where thoughts themselves will slow down. And when I'm meditating on that, because of which the very thoughts exist, on that because of which I'm conscious of the thoughts. Because every thought rises in the mind, and that thought is illumined by the consciousness that I am. So there is a I thought and this thought. So I am conscious of this thought. So I am thought is always there accompanying with this thought. But I am thought is right now associated with the ego. I am this, I am this. But pure I am is beyond this, because I am a subject and this is an object. When I try to contemplate on who is that I am, as pointed out by the Vedanta, then all external thoughts will subside automatically. I don't have to suppress it as in the Yoga Shastra. They sublimate, the thoughts themselves sublimate, because my attention is not on the contents of the thought, but to that because of which I am conscious of the thought. So it's like the looking at the moon, I am seeing the moon and seeing the moonlight, but removing the moonlight, while looking at the moonlight, concentrating on that because of which moon has the light. Same way, concentrating on that because of which the mind is conscious of this thought, this thought, this thought. That, therefore, without being conscious of the contents of the thought, you need a thought. You need the moon to see the sunlight. But at the same time, I have to pay attention to the sunlight, not to the moonlight, which I cannot see the sunlight. But without sunlight, there is no moonlight. So looking at the moonlight, cognitively see the sunlight. Same way, cognitively looking at the mind and the thoughts, whether thoughts are there or not, even mind becomes an object for me to see. Who is the seer? Again the mind. So mind, seeing the mind is a meditation. It's just like mind can be splitting into subject, object, and I say, I am seeing this. Both are thoughts in the mind. Same way, I am seeing the mind is also a thought in the mind, but that thought is concentration of that is shifting to that because of which I am seeing the mind. When you do that, then you are conscious of the consciousness, or you are, period. And that is, it's not a nidra, but it is that which is advaitam. So it is different from nidra. So that's in the 100th sloka. It says, nadvaitam, na dvaitam bhasate napi nidra tatrasti yat sukham sa brahmanandaha ityeham bhagavan arjunam prati. So this is what taught by Bhagavan to Arjuna, that it is not an Advaita, it is not a Dvaitam, it is not a duality, there is no dualistic. That means there is a knower known is not there in that understanding. So neither it is not a Nidra, even knower known is not there in the deep sleep state, but it is consciously conscious of the consciousness that I am is essentially by the mind. So mind has to be active. So it is not a Nidra. Tatra asti yatsukam, that Brahmananda. So it is an absence of duality, because I am not paying attention to the duality, but I am paying attention to that singularity, that is essentially pure consciousness that remains the same in every thought. Adi iti eham Bhagavan Arjunam prati. So now he is quoting the Bhagavad Gita. What I am saying is what has been discussed by Bhagavan to Arjuna has been said. So we'll now referring to the Bhagavad Gita slokas where Bhagavan discusses this in some form. We'll do 101. Senai senairu paramed, senai sanairu paramed, buddhya dhruti gruhitaya, atma samstam manakrutva, nakinchidapi chintaye. So this is from 4th chapter, 24th sloka. Sanai sanaihi uparamid. So this one should quieten. Sanai sanahi, slowly the mind has to be quietened. It's not by effort, by redirecting the mind into something, therefore it loses interest in the objective thoughts or contents of the objective thoughts. But if the thoughts are related to the consciousness or related to the Ishvara or something, then it doesn't get dissipated into one thought. So Sanahi, this can do by practice, by slowly. And one should quieten the mind, manaha, and Atma Samstam, in the self that I am. Self means I am that existent consciousness because of which I am conscious of every thought and including the mind itself without thought. Thoughts and the thought, it is the mind that has to concentrate on that. So Atma Samstam on the self is contemplating on the self means contemplating, looking in the direction as pointed out by the scripture. What is Atma? Is a pure consciousness that is because of which I am conscious of everything. It's a pure existence because of which everything exists. So it is Sat-Chit, and being Anantam, limitless, it is Ananda Swarupam. So Atma Samstam Manakrutva Nakinchidapi Chintare. Don't deliberately initiate new thoughts, but concentrate whatever the thoughts that come. And if the thoughts are related to japa or something on higher, then unnecessarily not initiating new thoughts, but on the same thought that you are contemplating. So Nakinchidapi Chintaye, no other thoughts other than on the Lord or on the self. So this is what Krishna taught to Arjuna. So it's not Advaita, it is Advaitam, but you have to contemplate on that, and that is Atma Samstaha. On the nature of the self you have to concentrate, and that's what Krishna taught by slowly. It is by Abhyasa and Vairagya. By constant practice you slowly move to that understanding. And another sloka from Bhagavad Gita. Yato nischarati manaschanchala mastiram. Yato nischarati manaschanchala mastiram. Tatastato niyam yaitatu atmanyeva vasham nayet. Tatastato niyam yaitatu atmanyeva vasham nayet. So say, how do we meditate? Here is a technique Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. Say yato nischarati. So the mind has a tendency to move out because that's the nature of the mind, and it has been habituated to look out all the time, going out. So yato nischarati, because manas chanchalam astiram, mind is always chalam. Chalam means chalam. It keeps on moving around. Astiram, it cannot stay at one point continuously. That is the nature of the mind. Mind wants to think. So suppressing the mind is not natural, because sublimating the mind is natural. So I have to concentrate using the mind to see the mind, not to run away. That is essentially how yato nischarati. So whenever the mind has gone out, tatastato nayam yaitatu, bring it back to the seat of meditation. So when you sit in the meditation, you are sitting in one place but mind traveling all over the world. So I am thinking of Rama, then suddenly Rama Rao comes, and the Rama Rao, he took some some money from me, but he never returned, and I don't know what he did and what happened to. From one thought to other thought, Ram Rao and Rama Rao went to America, and America he met all over the world. You travel from Rama to all over the world. Why? The mind hooks up to one thought to unthought to one thought because of interconnection. So what do I have to do? If I discover that the mind has gone away, at least half the problem is solved. Bring the mind back. Therefore Krishna says, yato yato nischarati, because mind is chanchalam astiram. It is always shaky, it is always moving around from one thought to other thought, like a jumping from one thought to other thought. Like a monkey jumping from one tree to other tree. So yato yato nischarati manas chanchalam astiram tadastado niyam yatadu. So if you discovered, because without you going along with the mind, discovering means mind part of the mind has discovered that the other part of the mind has gone. So bring it back. Atmani eva ma vasham. That is how you bring it back and contemplate on the self that you are. So this is what Krishna taught in the meditation. In the 103, Prashanta Manasam Yenam, Prashanta Manasam Yenam, Yoginam Sukham Uttamam, Yoginam Sukham Uttamam, Upaiti Samtarajasam, Upaiti Samtarajasam, Brahmabhutama Kalmasham, Brahmabhutama Kalmasham. Together, Prashanta Manasam Yenam, Yoginam Sukham Uttamam, Upaiti Samtarajasam, Brahmabhutama Kalmasham. So these are all on the meditation techniques. So Shanta Rajasam. So Shanta Rajasam is when the Rajoguna is being, means Rajoguna means mind perturbation and running around. So when the Rajoguna of the mind is quietened down, Prashanta Manasam, and the mind is therefore calm and quiet. So whenever mind is agitated, that's because of Rajogunam. So the Tamoguna has to go to Rajoguna, Rajoguna has to submit to Sattvaguna. Sattvaguna is where the knowledge can take place. So any knowledge has to, where your mind is agitated, you cannot gain the knowledge. Same way, Atma, this highest, very subtlest knowledge cannot be gained unless the mind is calm and quiet. So Shanti Rajasam. So when the mind is quietened from the Rajasic state, Prashanta Manasam, and it is quietened, Brahmabhutam, one is become with the Brahman. That means one is all as identified Aham Brahmasmi, or I am pure Satchidananda, which is Brahman. So one with the Brahman. Akalmasham Yenam Yoginam. So the one who can do that is the one who is Akalmasha Yogi, the one who is yoking the mind. Yogi is not someone who has a beard and big and all that. One who is able to yoke the mind is Yogi. To that, and in order to do that, my mind should not be dissipating in that. It won't dissipate it if my mind is pure. Pure means it doesn't have attachments. Attachment is what? Attachment is that my happiness depends on that. That's attachment. So attachment is different from the concerns. So I am concerned about people who take care of their health, but attachment is my depend on them. So my depend on this and this object, this person, this perform and happiness, and that's what is called slavery. So one can be concerned, but one should not be attached. That's what he said. So I should be concerned about my children and their welfare as a parent. At the same time, I should not be attached, because attachment means my happiness depends on them, rather than I let them depend on me for their happiness, but I am free from the attachments. That is essentially real attachment is. So the concern is essentially Prashanta Manasakiyam Yoginam Sukhamuttamam Upayiti Santarajasam Brahmabhutam Akalmasham. So the Akalmasham means the one who does not have any kalmasham, any impurities. That means the one who does not have any vasanas. Yenam yoginam, this yogi, indeed, uttamam sukham upaiti. He attains the highest happiness, and that is uttamam is that is beyond highest ones, that is tamam uttamam. So that which is the highest, that is the higher up, that is the Brahma Anandam is going to, he experiences. Sukham uttamam upaiti. So this is the quotations from the Bhagavad Gita 104. Yatro paparamate chittam, yatro paparamate chittam, niruddham yoga sevaya, niruddham yoga sevaya, yatra chaivatmanatmanam, yatra chaivatmanatmanam, pasyan atmani tushyati, pasyan atmani tushyati. Brother, yatro paramate chittam, niruddham yoga sevaya, yatra chaivatmanatmanam, pasyan atmani tushyati. Chittam, the mind, yatra, when, yoga sevaya, by the practice of yoga, yoking the mind to the higher, that is by practice of yoga. Yoga is to yoking the mind towards the higher reality. Niruddham, by fully controlling its not allowing to dissipate unnecessarily pursuits. Uparamiti, it's withdrawn from all other pursuits. Cha, yatra, and then when, atmana, by the mind, atmanam, the self, pasyan, seeing, atmani, in the self, evam tushyati, he becomes happy or contented. So atmana, atmanam, pasyan, atmani. So who sees what? Here is a statement by the mind. First, atma is being used in different meanings here. So atmana, atmanam. So one, atmana, by mind, atmanam, the self, pasyan, atmani. So in the self, having seen or recognized, seeing means understanding that atmani, in the self, eva tushyati, he revels in himself by himself. That's exactly what Sthita Prajna, that Krishna defines. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan. Atmani eva atmana tustaha. And atmani, in oneself, atmana tustaha. One is happy by himself, in himself. And that is, the mind is happy. Not that Atma is always happy. It's the mind that has the wrong notions. Therefore, the mind revels in the self, and in that it becomes one with the self, and therefore it recognizes and be happy. Tushyati, he enjoys that. These are all the statements from the Bhagavad Gita in one form or other. 105. Sukama chantikam yattadu, sukama chantikam yattadu, buddhigrahyamati indriyam, buddhigatramati indriyam, vetti yatra na chaivayam, vetti yatra na chaivayam, stitaschalati tattvataha, stitaschalati tattvataha. Together, sukama chantikam yattadu, buddhigrahyamati indriyam, vetti yatra na chaivayam, stitaschalati tattvataha. So yatra, when achantikam buddhigrahyam, achantikam, the supreme, buddhigrahyam, it's known by the pure mind. That means understanding by the intellect that is the totality, that I am. So ati indriyam, which is beyond the indriyas, beyond the senses and the sense objects. Yet that sukham, that which is happiness, is not result of object-oriented Vishayananda nor Vasanananda. It is Brahmananda, but not like in the deep sleep state, but with the Vijnanamaya Kosha, it is contemplating on that. So it is different from the deep sleep state procedure. It is deliberately the mind is contemplating. So therefore there is a knowledge involved in that. So yat sukham tat veti. So that is experience. Veti means he knows that I am that, and the experiential knowledge, and that knowledge is Aham Brahmasmi. So he revels in the Swarupa Lakshanam, Swarupanandam. So Tat Veti, Sthitaha, established in the self, I am this yogi, Tatvataha, from the truth, Na Chalati, he will not come out of it, shakes, Eva. Definitely he will not, once he is established in that, he will not come out of it, unless coming out is only because of vasanas. Since there is no vasanas, he gets firmly established. So it is slowly practicing there, because initially it takes few seconds, but slowly the mind, as it gets in that, it gets more and more purified in the process and firmly abides in the process. So how far the mind is purity, depending on that, the mind revels in that state. That's why we have Jivan Mukta, and there is a different categories of Jivan Mukta that Vidyaranya himself in the Jivan Mukta Viveka states, depending upon not the Jivan Mukta in the highest state, but because of how understanding it and how to abide in that knowledge. So a lot of people understand Aham Brahmasmi and everything because of Vedanta Shravana, but they are not able to abide in the knowledge only because the mind is not purified. So depending upon the purity of the mind, they revel in that state. 106. Yam labdva cha param labham, yam labdva cha param labham, manyate nadikam tataha, manyate nadikam tataha, yasmin sito na dukkhena, yasmin sito na dukkhena, gurunapi vichalyate, gurunapi vichalyate. So here, this is the highest knowledge that one can go for. Because this yam labdva, having gained this, that means having understood. Gaining is not something gaining outside. Having understood Aham Brahmasmi. So yam labdva chaparam labham. There is nothing more to gain in the world, because in the other things there is only finite, but there is a finite, I need some more finite because I want to reach infinite by gaining finites, and you will never reach it that way. But here you already recognize that I am infinite. There is nothing else you need. Therefore, he is full by himself. So yam labdva chaparam labham. So having gained that, there is nothing more to gain. Manyate na adhikam tadha. So once you understand that there is no adhikam tadha, there is no beyond that. Matta paradaram nasti kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is nothing beyond me. That me is that which is Brahman state, and that manyate na adhikam tataha. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. Yasmin tataha. Once you have established in that, so na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. Guruna api dukkhena, even the severest suffering that comes at the body-mind level, is it na vichalyate. He will not get disturbed because he is established. I am Brahman. These all mithya only. Like the highest suffering that you get in the dream state, once you get up, you are not worried about what happens there in the dream state, because you know it's not really real. Same way, you recognize while living in the world that this whole world has only upper and no reality. You can play the game of life better now, knowing very well you are not really suffering. This is a role playing. Just as in the drama you play a role of a beggar or a role of a sufferer, knowing very well that it is not really real, it's only drama that you can play. So that is essentially Guruna api vichalyate. This is from the Bhagavad Gita statements. So how does one know that one is in the state of Brahmananda? That we will take up in the next sloka after this talk. So we will stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi